Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. Welcome to a bonus edition of the Clutter Fairy Weekly for August 3rd, 2021. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hi, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is a webcast and podcast where we dig deep into the clutter that stands between people and the lives they want to be living. We aim to make sense of where so much stuff comes from in the first place, and we offer strategies to slow down the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we choose to keep. We rely heavily on the questions and topic suggestions we get from you, our viewers and listeners. We're not producing a live webcast this week because when this video goes online, Ed will be away relaxing on the beach, probably getting too much sun and fun, and not nearly enough sleep. But we're big believers in the power of habits and the effectiveness of a steady, incremental approach to organizing. So we're offering this special episode to help keep your decluttering energy and momentum going strong during our week off.
A concept we frequently return to in our conversations about clutter is the notion of creating a supportive environment. This idea means removing as many barriers as possible and setting up the physical conditions for the success of your project or goal. Examples of elements of a supportive environment for decluttering might include a comfortable place to sit, relaxing music, decent air conditioning, a willing helper, and so on. Another example is having access to the right set of tools and supplies at hand so that you're ready to face the challenges that clutter throws in your way.
That's right. When you made a date with yourself to organize, you don't want to get stopped right out of the gate by not being able to find something critical that you need to get the work done. Anyone who cleans their own house has a little bin or a bucket with a handle where they can store the usual products and supplies that they use to clean. They store it somewhere out of sight and then grab it when it's time to start the housework. A cleaning supply bucket or bin keeps whatever you need right there, ready to go as you tackle your cleaning projects. Do you realize that you can create the same kind of kit for your organizing projects too? You can pull together some basics that are useful to any decluttering project, put them in a bin or a box, store them when they're not in use, and pull them out anytime you're going to tackle an organizing task. Whether you're working a long-term decluttering project over many months, or you're just doing your regular maintenance task, an organizing toolkit can support your work and help you get things done. I'm sure you're already asking, but Gayle, what should be in that toolkit? Well, I'm going to tell you. This isn't intended to be a kit to cover all possibilities of organizing. Instead, it's a collection of things that would help you with any basic organizing task. You want to start off with a container. A box with a lid or a bucket with a handle would work. And remember, you want to carry it from room to room, so don't aim for a huge big old box. Something manageable and easy to carry when the stuff is in it. That's what you really want. Then let's fill it up. You're going to have a collection of small reusable tools and then some supplies. So let's make a list of the reusable tools first. Those tools include, every organizer's dream is a label maker. If you don't have a label maker, you can buy inexpensive ones for less than $25. Of course, you can spend more money and get fancier ones, but the basic model will do if you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. It's worth having a label maker.
Do you remember the Dymo tape label makers with the thick plastic stuff, and you had to turn?
Oh yeah, and you would
clamp
them.
Clink, clink, clink. Yeah.
It would take forever, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but this is much more digital now, and you don't have to work that hard for it. So they make all kinds, and there's Brother P-Touch brand, and there's Made My Brother, and there's Dymo products as well. And so you can just find one that works for you, that's in your cost point, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. So that's tool number one. The second tool is a good pair of scissors. You're always going to have to be cutting something or opening something or whatever. And so you need a pair of scissors and a box cutter, because you're also going to be needing to either open a box that you've had stashed somewhere as you start to declutter, or you're going to be opening packages that never got unpacked, or you're going to be breaking down boxes that you find that are empty. And so the box cutter will just make that, better on your manicure, not as much pain. It will be easier to use a box cutter.
Or breaking down boxes that you've completely emptied.
Exactly. Like when you get to the end of the bottom of the box, right?
Woo-hoo.
Yay. The next one is a tape measure. And I say that because there'll be all kinds of time where you'll be standing there going, I wonder if that bookcase will fit on that wall. And the only way you can tell is either to move it in place and see if it works, or to get out the tape measure first. And I would say, get out the tape measure first, because then you won't do all that maneuvering and physical work and then have it not fit in the slot that you're imagining. So especially if you don't have a good sense of spatial relation, measure first, then start moving furniture is what I'm saying. So a tape measure ready to hand is a great thing to have. The next one on my list is a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver, because there's a million times when you're having to, I need to undo that one screw. I need to undo the screw on the back of this picture. I need to put a screw into the wall. I need to take that, whatever. So there's all these piece of a furniture. Maybe you have to put a screw back in a piece of furniture. So having a couple of little tools, easy screwdrivers at hand, they'll be really helpful. Ed put the smartphone on the list, which I think is brilliant. You got to have the phone to take pictures, make notes. You'll be sitting there and you'll find something, you go, I need to show this picture to my sister. And then you can take a picture and send it right there while you're thinking about it, and ask her, do you want this? Do you not want this? And she can write back and go, forget it, get rid of it. And then you can safely let it go and not have your project be interrupted. So that's the short list of the reusable tools. And then outside of your carrying container, you're probably going to need some sorting boxes as well. So whether those are moving boxes or other kinds of shipping containers, or whether you have plastic boxes, plastic storage bins that you're going to use, for most sorting projects, for most organizing projects, you're going to need some sorting boxes. And so that can just be part of the process as well. We're going to move on to the supplies. And these are the things that you use and use up and have to replenish, as opposed to the tools. So the first one is you're going to need label maker cartridges to go into that label maker you just bought. And you're going to need them in a few sizes and colors, because they make them in a few different widths. And so your particular machine will have a width limit. So not all machines take all sizes, depending on how fancy your machine is, but it'll at least take one or two probably. And then they sell them with, it's a white tape with black ink, or it's a white tape with blue ink, or it's a black tape with white ink. So there's some options about what kind of label coloring and ink color you get out. So you want to buy the ones that make you happy, and then have them in reserve, because if you get on a jag of making a whole bunch of labels, you're going to run out in the middle of your job. So you might as well throw down the money to get the labels and have them be in the bin. The next thing is garbage bags. You're going to need to throw out some trash. And so you might as well have some garbage bags in your organizing toolkit ready to jerk out when you start throwing trash away. You're also going to need some grocery bags or some shopping bags or reusable handle bags, so that you can put donations in small bags that are easy to carry. And those handle bags that you get from when you go to the store, those are great paper bags that you can throw donations in and take them to the to the donation place, and just hand the whole thing over to them. The reusable bags are really useful as you are in any particular room and you find things that need to be in another room. You can just fill up a reusable bag with things that have to go to some other room, and then you can carry that bag off and walk around the house and redistribute the objects when you are ready to stop. And so having a collection of grocery bags, shopping bags, and reusable bags will help you manage donations and take things to other rooms. Next on the list is Ziploc bags in a variety of sizes, but you probably don't want an entire box of every size, because that'll really fill up your bucket quickly. So instead, I would grab, a fingerful, a pinch full of all the sizes you want, and stick them all in 1 gallon Ziploc, and then throw that into your kit. That way, they're great for sorting, and they're useful for sorting things like to like, and then storing that way. And they can be thrown into a drawer and stay together and float around. So it's an easy sorting and storage tool in the moment while you're doing your work. If you find later that you want to do something more sophisticated to store, then you can come back with another product later. But Ziplocs are a good temporary solution and can also be a good permanent solution. Good to have them in your bucket. You're also going to need a little notepad, some Post-it notes, a pen, a pencil, markers. These are all things that are going to help you with label making or with quick marking. If you have to quick mark a box, or you want to stick a Post-it on one of your sorting boxes and say, this is financial paperwork and this is stuff that needs to be shredded and whatever. You're going to end up throwing Post-its on as temporary labels while you work. And so having them in the box will be helpful. I put Sharpies on that list separately because of course that is a permanent marker. And so when you're working with a Sharpie, it's going to be whatever you write is going to be difficult to get off. So it's good for label making. It's good for file folders. It's good for quick marking on boxes. And just know that it's a permanent solution as opposed to some of the other things you might put in your bucket. Packing tape is next. You're going to need packing tape if you have to build boxes. So if you are putting together a file box or you're putting together a moving box that you're going to put things into store, you're going to need packing tape to build that box. You're also going to need Scotch tape and removable tape like painter's tape for the temporary signs, for attaching labels. And there's occasions as you do things where you're going to go, I need a Scotch tape to fix the tear in this piece of paper, or I need to tape this down onto the wall or whatever. And so you can do some sort of minor repairs and temporary signs and labels with Scotch tape and painter's tape.
Scotch tape is also good for if you have a piece of paper that is torn out of a ring binder, you can create a quick reinforcement and just punch a fresh hole
when it's trying to fall out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. Okay, next up is Velcro cable ties. So you can usually buy those at an office supply store or also at a computer store. They're basically Velcro strips that are designed to wrap around cables and attach and be easily, undone and put back together again. So you can buy a box of 100 and they're all strapped together and you can just peel them off one at a time. And they're great for strapping up loose cables that you find. And because throwing a loose cable into a box and having it just be like spaghetti just means that it's a mess. Every time you put your hand in there, you're messing around you're digging through cables to try to get something. So better to stop, fold up the cable and corral it with a cable tie. And then it's much easier to manage the cable.
And there's an immutable law of the universe that if you put as many as 2 cables in any container without tying them up, they will get tangled up in a matter of minutes.
They will become a knotted mess, right? So you can use them for the free floating cables, and you can also use them to corral the cables that are coming out of your electronics and plugged into the wall, and they're all on the floor under the desk, or they're all under the floor by the TV, or all of those bundles of cables that somebody went and plugged in all the cables and then left them all in a pile of spaghetti on the floor. You can get those Velcro ties out and corral them up so that they look better and are not a snarled mess and they don't bother you as much. So Velcro cable ties are a great thing to have in here.
They're a tongue twister though.
I know, right? Velcro cable ties. Then you also want some empty boxes, baskets, or bins as a temporary holding space for sorted contents. Or maybe you want to insert some thin, shallow bins inside a drawer or on a flat surface like a shelf or a table where you want a container to sit things in to help them look purposeful, like they're all the supplies are corralled together in a little bin on your desk instead of strewn all over the desk, right? Or inside a junk drawer where you have a whole bunch of little segmented containers so that you don't have to have all that stuff sort of flowing back and forth like the tide in your junk drawer. So a few random small baskets, bins, boxes to help you sort and corral things in various places in your project. And it can be a temporary parking space. It can be a permanent one, depending on what you use it for. You'll probably want some sheets of paper. You can use those to label the temporary boxes or the sorting boxes. If you want a big sign, get out the Sharpie and a big piece of paper and go, financial paperwork, stick, shred, stick. So it'll be easy and quick for you to make a label for something that isn't going to stick forever. You want a small quantity of file folders because no matter what room you're going to go into, you're going to find some paperwork because paperwork migrates in the night when we're sleeping and it translates, it blends and it draws babies and it sends them out into the other rooms to find new homes. So wherever you work, you're going to find some paper. Every box that you think is labeled books, you're going to go and find books and you're going to find 3 pieces of paper. So You're going to want some file folders so that you can pull them out, capture the paper, decide, okay, these need to be shredded, but this is one I need to keep. And then of course you'll be like one of my clients who I found their social security card in the big, trash bag of paperwork that was essentially all trash except the social security card. So you want to have some place to put those things after you find them so you can label it and translate, move those off to where they're going to go live in future. The file folders keep you from losing them. You also want an all-purpose cleaner and some paper towels or microfiber cloths, because as you pull things out, you're going to get blasted with the clouds of dust. And so you can sort of do a light cleaning as you go. And you probably want to dust things off and dust the shelf off or the table off or the surface off or whatever before you start putting things back. So we're not talking about heavy duty cleaning here, but we are talking about, okay, you've cleared a surface, so let's wipe it down and get a layer of dust off before we start putting all the things back on top of it. And the last thing I'm going to put on this list is a small bottle of Goo Gone, because there's always random things that have sticker residue on them that are causing problems because other pieces of paper are sticking to the residue, or it makes the thing with the residue on it it sticks to the desk, sticks in the drawer. There's always some little sticky something that you can't just wipe off with your finger. And having that Goo Gone there will solve a myriad of irritating problems without you having to get up. So you can buy little bitty sizes of them. You don't have to buy a 40-ounce bottle of Goo Gone. You can buy a much smaller container of it and just have that be in your toolkit so that it'll solve those emergency sticky problems. You can also be nice to yourself by using some smaller containers inside your toolkit to hold the small items on the list. And that will help your toolkit stay organized as well. So you might introduce a couple of Ziploc bags with all the tape in it, or all of the paper, or all the pins. You might need a bucket to hold the cartridges, the label cartridges that are going to go on the machine, or put those in a Ziploc. So just consider that you have a box and you have a whole bunch of little bits. I made a long list, and maybe you want to subdivide that box a little bit with some other containers. Just something to consider. If you don't mind a big jumble, you can throw it all in the one bin and not worry about it, but I think it'll be helpful.
Okay, wonderful. We will be back next week with a live webcast, Tuesday, August 10th at noon US Central Time, to talk about the critical areas of your home where clutter seems to be drawn like a magnet. We'll explain why problematic spaces collect so much clutter, and we'll suggest strategies for troubleshooting these special organizing issues. Please join us next week for Trap Doors and Rabbit Holes, special issues of clutter-prone spaces. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group by visiting cfhou.com/meetup. You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or subscribe to our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from you, so please send us your comments, questions, and topic suggestions in the YouTube comments, on Facebook, or anywhere that you find us. And you can always reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
Thanks for listening to our special edition today. We will be back live, and hopefully Ed will not be burnt to a crisp when he shows up.
Right.
And we will see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.